He's damage based on HP, and he doesn't have that bad multipliers for HP based champion. And then the increased attack with the increased crit rate, 30%, not too bad, to have on a 3-turn cooldown. And he has a lot of HP as well, a decent amount of defense, pretty easy to keep alive, which is important for a reviver on your team. And then the strengthen on all allies in his revival is really nice to have as well. So I think that overall, he was a really important addition to the faction.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think because he came as part of a fusion, he was pretty accessible as well. So
yeah,
good base stat. And you can run at 50, actually. I mean, this video is probably more about champions to max. You can run him at 50, and he's still solid. So
absolutely.
Worth kind of pointing out.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, cool. So my number 4 then. We've got like a few good ones still to go here, I feel like. And for me, like one of the OG Skinwalkers is Steel Skull.
Steel Skull.
Yeah. Just so much, just such a quality kit. So Poison A1, decent chance to land. Really good heal on the A2 with a cleanse for a single target. And then a great kind of heal plus strong buff on the A3. So good base stats, really fast. Just kind of viable anywhere, but probably like mainly used in Clan Boss.
Yeah, he's still an OG, man. He's an OG, but you're right. Like, I think a lot of people forget, or maybe not if you have him, but a 111 speed on this big fella. Really nice to have him super fast. And you're right. I mean, is old, but an older champion, legacy champion, but incredibly good still. So I agree. Who should I go with for the last pick, man? I guess I will pull maybe a little bit of a curveball here. And because there's a few solid ones, but I'm going to go with Taurus.
I was almost convinced you would pick Ursine Ironhide. So I know that you're a big fan. Like I've never maxed one out, but I just knew that you were a fan of his. But anyway,
I almost went there because I built the bear. I built the bear, and he's not really good, right? But he's solid, like a decently hard hitting defense based champion with an AoE decrease attack. Taurus is cool because I think he sees more use now than the bear, just because of those guaranteed poisons, right, on the Toxic Nova ability. So, he's not my favorite champion in the game. He would definitely be my 5th ranked here on the Skinwalkers.
Sure.
But with that said, I think that at least, it's nice to have those 4 poisons on all enemies, right? On a 4-turn cooldown. Granted, he sacrifices 99% of his HP, but still, it's nice to have, and he sees some use now in the game, which is kind of cool.
Well, I was ready to jump in and say no, not the bear, Taurus, as a 5th. So, like, I totally agree, man.
Okay, yeah. You hate the bear,
I don't hate the bear, but Taurus was just like, if you compare him with someone like an Xavier, or someone who explodes poisons, then great. Even that new one, Venom Age, like really, really kind of solid pairing. But nowadays, with so much content needing a lot of damage, they've got huge health pools. Things like poisons and HP burns just do more work because their kind of damage number is guaranteed. So throwing out 4 poisons, that's 20% of the enemy's health gone. Just like it doesn't matter how high their HP are. It's still going to work. So
I totally agree. But just quickly on the bear, though, Hades, the thing is kind of like Coronar, right? Like he's no Coronar. Don't get me wrong, but kind of like him, he has a sneaky amount of turn meter in his kit, right? Because he has that passive where each hit has a 50 can be booked up to 100% chance of decreasing the target's turn meter by 7.5%.
Yeah.
And then again, he has turn meter decrease on the A2 as well, and decrease attack, which is nice, especially for faction wars. So I was pleasantly surprised when I maxed out the bear. I thought he was just going to be trash, but he wasn't that bad.
Yeah, sure. And I think this is one of those factions where the rest they feel fairly weak.
Yeah.
You get Yaga as a kind of login. Okay, poison. There's much better ones out there.
I hate Yaga, man. I hate him.
Yeah.
You know why?
Most fed champion in the game. Did you know that?
Dude, good, because I hate to be so cynical here, and so I don't want to come on your channel and be negative about it, but dude, look at his books, man. He is a trap champion if there ever was one,
true.
Right?
Yeah.
He's got a poison on a 4-turn cooldown. Okay, who cares, Each hit, potentially 2 poisons. Then he has another poison, or actually no poison, just more damage against targets under poison. on his A3 on a 4-turn. But look at all these books, man. This is a way to get players to waste their epic books at the beginning of the game, man. He's awful.
Yeah, I've never seen it that way before.
Yeah.
I knew that it was bad, but that's awful. Actually,
it is awful, man.
Yeah, he loves to read, this guy. He loves to read.
He does. He does. All right.
Okay, let's move on. So, Lizardmen. So I get first pick on this one.
You
do. This is another similar sort of faction that they've got a lot of trash, but they've actually got some pretty cool champs here. So I'm going to kick off with Aox.
Okay, good choice.
This is one of my favorite epics. Probably like a top 10.
Okay.
So he can give you good sustain. So he's got a nice heal on his A2. He's got a bit of a poison, similar to Steel Skull on his A1, which is useful. But then he brings an AoE drop attack A3 and a really cool passive. So increases duration of random debuffs when attacked. That passive can really help you out in a clan boss fight, or just generally, if you're talking about general boss fights, general encounters, that can really kind of stack up. Decent enough aura as well, but good base stats. Just a solid support champion for me.
Yeah, I have not built him out either. Do you run him anywhere, like on your main or your free-to-play? I'm not sure if you have him there, but do you run him anywhere other than Clan Boss, or no?
So he kind of falls into line of one of these epics that can just carry you through the game. So when I built a all-epic team to beat all dungeons, him and Vogoth together were absolutely just kind of like beast mode, healing, supporting the team right the way through, allowing my damage dealers the room to kind of do what they do. So he's just like my ultimate support, really.
Okay. Yeah, I love it. He's a really cool champion. I wish I had him on my free-to-play. All right, I'll go next. I'm going to go Jareg. I mean, one of the legacy champs, but certainly one of the better champions in the game, I think. I think he's a little bit underrated still. A lot of HP, loads of HP on his kit. Easy to keep alive. He has a decreased attack at a high land rate on his A1. On the A2, ally protect, increased defense. Yeah. And then that passive, man, the continuous heal. Whenever an ally loses 20% of their max HP on one hit, that's really, really handy. A great healer for that reason. Has HP in all battles aura. He's just like an old school, but really, really solid support champion.
Yeah, so he was, he actually replaced for a time Ultan in my clan boss team. Because he was bringing this ally protection. So he was a good decrease attack like Ultan is. Ultan, by the way, hits like an absolute cannon. And Jareg was kind of outdoing this legendary into my clan boss team for a while. This is back in the day. He kind of sat in the vault for a while. But now he's kind of coming back out into Doom Tower comps.
Yeah, it's against really the Griffin, man. Yeah, like I run him now against the Griffin in that kind of the Syl and Drexstar and Jareg team.
Sure.
And I mean, 90 hard, pretty easy, with those three champions. So I like him, especially with Doom Tower, to your point.
Yeah, nice. Okay, so third one then. I'm going to call out one of the newer champs, Venomage.
Okay, good choice.
Wow,
very good.
Very really love this champion. Yeah. Such a unique kit. So just basically manipulating poisons to do more damage. That chance to kind of pop poisons within a kit is really useful. But also I love this passive. So enemies under heal reduction just inflict straight up less damage. It's a straight up damage reduction, which is so important in this game. There's a number of champions that do something similar to this. But yeah, AoE abilities, poisons, heal reductions, great base stats. Can play her really anywhere. But super good against clan boss, but kind of anywhere, I'd say.
I totally agree. I was very happy when I pulled her recently. Maxed her out immediately, and I was not disappointed. Totally agree with you. I love it's just a very unique kit. It's unique and it's pretty crazy. I mean, like I gave Plarium hell for the Yaga. So I'll give them credit because some of these champions they come up with over 500 champions, you think you might run out of ideas, like unique ways, but a lot of these champions are still fun and unique that they're bringing to the game. So that's cool to see.
Yeah. Well, I rate all of these champions when they come out on my website. And it's literally, you get to the point where you're looking at their kit and you see some of these kind of nuances. And it's like, it feels like it should be good. Like, I need to test it. Luckily, we get the test server now to test some of this stuff out because... otherwise you'd be kind of just lost. There's so many champions and they're so different.
It's easy to lose track, with all these new champions coming out. All right, I will go with, speaking of new champions, I'll go with Skathix. Pretty cool Void Lizardman that added to the game. I'm not gonna, I think that a lot of people saw him at first and thought like he's the most broken, or not, maybe not broken, but really, really strong. I think he's really good. Maybe, yeah, I think he's just really good. He has a decreased speed on the A1. Why am I sitting here trying to make fun of the dude that I'm picking, right? He's not that good, but I'm gonna pick him. No, he's got a really cool A2, but his A3, it's all about that, right? He has removes all debuffs, the full cleanse, block debuffs for 2 turns, and a shield for 2 turns, man. I mean, that Scales of the Ages is just what a great support ability to have, along with a solid AoE decreased speed on the A1 and a pretty cool passive as well. So block debuffs for 2 turns though, even though it is on a 4-turn cooldown with the shield, very, very good support champion.
I do love his A2 as well, like the chance to steal buffs. So if it was just remove 1 random buff, it wouldn't be as good, but to steal 1 random buff from every enemy it's quality.
At 100% land too, so you're walking away with maybe 4 or 5 new buffs. Who knows, at least a couple, hopefully.
I do feel like this is the sort of champion that people will just sleep on. They'll get him and they kind of sit in the vault. It doesn't kind of come out and say, I'm going to smack people really hard. But actually, like you say, the A3 is massive. Yeah,
it is. It really is. I mean, yeah. Okay. Enough said. Scathix.
Okay.
It's good.
So the final one then for this group.
This
is
pressure's on,
pretty
man.
Tough.
Yeah. Right.
I'm actually going to bring out Basilisk here.
Okay.
In my top 5.
All right.
And
all right.
I think some people will probably
great choice, by the way. No, I agree with you 100%, man.
I just feel like people sleep on how much damage this A1 does. Like
his A1 is a nuke, bro.
Absolutely nukes, yeah. So AoE ability, nukes really hard. Puts a buff on as well if he hits a crit, so he's going to nuke even harder next time round. Really annoying passive if you play against him. In fact, incredibly annoying. They throw him in waves where you have to bring turn meter champs out. And you just keep dropping his turn meter, and he's just still alive and still alive and still alive. And it's like, Plarium.
Yeah.
Why have you put him in this content? But when he's on your team, this is actually really useful. And then he's got a funky A2 actually, where he can place a stun against weak affinity without. I think it's coded in a weird way, but there's something funky about this stun, which means that he doesn't care about the affinity. He's just going to place it anyway. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, just a hard-hitting. This faction really struggles with damage, especially if you don't have some of the real big legendary champs. And when you've got to try and beat that epic floor in the Doom Tower where it's epic only Lizardmen, I feel like you need him. You kind of need him to bring the damage, bring the pain.
Yeah. I forgot what it is or where it is, but he is, it's one of the secret rooms, I think. I mean, it's not the Lizardmen one. Obviously, he's used there, but it's another one. And I was looking at all the top teams, and it's like Basilisk. Everybody's using Basilisk. I forgot what floor it was, but it's true. It's because that A1 is absolutely insane, man. Yeah. I agree with you 100%. I think that people, might like. Who else would it be? Broadmaw, maybe.
Yeah,
after his
buff. Quagan's. I don't have Quagan actually, but he is
Quagan,
okay.
People like that. Yeah.
But I think it's a kind of lackluster.
Me too.
Backup line, really. I mean, I've seen Stu do a kind of funny Drake video where he's one-shotting everyone, but
yeah. Drake is fun to play around with, But anyway, okay. So
let's move on to the ogres then. Ogryn Tribes.
Yeah, man. There's some good ones. There's some real good ones here, dude. Let's see. Gosh.
Actually, you could pick 10. I think you could pick 10 here.
I think so too. Can we? All right. I'm going to go with, let's just start with an easy choice here in Ugo. Ugo is, a lot of these champions that we're going to be mentioning here are new. Another defense breaker, an AoE defense with the block buffs for 2 turns. 75% chance at landing that, but it goes up for each enemy alive. I mean, this is one of the better decreased defense abilities in the game.
Pre-turn cooldown.
Yeah. I mean, block buffs for 2 turns is really solid to have on the decrease of defense ability. And then a great healer as well, has kind of that unique revival that synergizes with her passive as well. And then has the leech on the A1. She actually heals quite a bit on top of being a really reliable and solid, just decreased defense champion, but also in some ways like a control champion because of the block buffs. You can just stop your enemies from getting into all their annoying, especially in Doom Tower and stuff like that, all their annoying buffs they're going to bring to the table.
Yeah, I actually remember when I did a video where I was talking about basically like the rising quality of champions in the game. Yeah. And but what I actually said was it's not the legendaries, it's the epics. Yeah. The epics are really punching on. And Ugo was my kind of big call out in that video to say, look at this kit. Look how much this champion is bringing to the table as an epic. It's kind of crazy, actually. So yeah,
it really is. It really is. That's an insane ability there. And again, a lot of heals to the table too. What does it have? A cleanse a little bit in there too? Yeah. Remove heal reduction, and then one other random debuff from allies, then a 20% heal. I mean, she's just amazing. All right, who do you got next? A lot of choices.
So, I mean, it's hard. I'm going to call out the obvious one, but then there's probably 3 obvious ones.
There is.
Man-Eater. I mean,
okay.
You can't not include him because he's
you can't.
An absolute game changer. Probably more so than almost any champion you could pull in the entire game for what he does to Clan Boss. So if you've got one Man-Eater and a Painkeeper, Clan Boss becomes easy. If you've got 2 Man-Eaters, Clan Boss becomes a joke. All you've got to do then is just build him in the right way, and you're unkillable for 50 turns. Pump the damage out, and you will get maximum rewards every day from Ultra Nightmare and Nightmare. Like,
do you run an unkillable team? Is your main team unkillable or no?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I mix it up sometimes, but yeah, basically it is. I run one with Ninja at the minute, and
nice.
Kicking out like 130 odd million damage in one key.
It's pretty beast mode. Yeah,
nuts. Ninja's fun.
Yeah, he's a really good champion.
But yeah, Man-Eater though is also good.
That's what I was gonna say.
In other places, like he's not just a Clan Boss champion, and that's what people kind of fall into. His A2's nuts as well, outside of Clan Boss. So
it really is. And on his A1, man, like you're getting an AoE guaranteed decrease attack on an A1 as long as it's critical. You know? That's really solid.
Hard as well. Like this guy is one of the best. Yeah.
I concur. Okay, good choice there. I will go with Ogryn.
Yeah, that was one of the other ones. I was like, should I pick him
we're going to go with the easy choices, like the ones that you cannot refuse, because a 3-time hitter with poison on the A1, a cleanse and a great heal on the A2, and then really it's all about bizarre vapors on the A3. Yeah. I mean, kind of like a weird blend between Steel Skull and Bad Alcazar, right?
Yes.
His kit, right? With the 3 poisons on all enemies for 2 turns, and then 2 continuous heals. What a great ability. What a great kit. What a great champion. Again, to your point, Hades, it's like, are you sure this is not a legendary? Are you sure?
Well, I mean, when I first played around with this guy, I pulled him on my main account really luckily on the last 2-time void.
Oh, good for you. Good for you.
Just like soloing Dragon, basically soloing Ice Golem. And we're talking like level 25s. We're not talking, level 20s here. An epic soloing some of the hardest content in the game.
And a great aura, too. Speeding all battles by 20%,
He's nuts, this guy. Yeah.
Really good. And to your point, you mentioned the Dragon, too. I think that getting a champion like this, it opens up the game for so many people, because now they can actually start food farming on more difficult Dragon levels,
Yeah.
Alongside Ogryn. So I think that he's just a really, really... he's close to a game changer if you're lucky enough to pull him. So
absolutely right, yeah. Okay, let's push on to number 4 then. So I'm going to call out Grush.
Okay, good choice.
So, he's available to anyone as a login reward. It's sometime through the game, so it's not like first few days, but you do get him eventually. And I feel like people overlook how good he is. He hits really hard on his 2 AoE hits, his A2 and A3. He's got a leech on his A1, which opens up the chance to not have to use lifesteal gear, someone like Clan Boss, which is a game changer by itself. Just being able to go in and re-gear your champions to just push their damage or push their survivability up, not just having to use lifesteal gear the whole time. It's huge. More heals on his A3 and an okay A2. I wish it was kind of just decrease attack, if I'm honest.
I know,
right? My only letdown on this guy is he is very book hungry. Like, this guy loves to read. He's in the library twice a week.
That's how they do it with the free logins, man. They're not really free,
Yeah, I just noticed it. He loves to read, this guy. And you kind of want these books as well. Like, kind of want those debuff chances up. But yeah, he is a good champion. You can run him kind of anywhere, and he will be solid. So.
Yeah, I agree with you. I totally agree with the sentiment on the A2 though. Get rid of that. Put a period after debuff on decreased attack, right? Because crit damage. What are you doing? But like, Two things on this guy that stuck out to me after I used him a bit is, one is, and you mentioned at the beginning there, Hades, is the damage, dude.
Yeah.
Like, this guy can really smack with those 2 AoEs. Like, at the end of the battle, you look at the damage report and you're like, wow, Grush.
Yeah. He steps up.
Yeah. And he heals a lot more than you expect with the 2 continuous heals, you know? So, and the leech, you know? So I feel like he's a really, really good call out, a good champion overall. You put me in a very awful spot here, though, for the last pick, man. Like, come on, dude. Sorry, I know who I know who I'm contractually obligated to give it to, but I don't want to give it to him, but I guess I'm going to have to. And the contractual obligation is Skull Crusher, right? I have to give it to him. Because he's got the counterattack.
Should we say, before you go into that, then, should we just call out a couple more? Because
I think so.
There's some good champs here.
I personally absolutely love Siege Hulk, man.
Siege Hulk, yeah.
I really like this dude. He deals so much damage.
Yeah.
Like, massive damage. One of the better damage dealers out there in Epic. Because he has the increased crit rate, increased crit damage, and increased attack that he's putting on himself, you know?
Yeah.
Very hard-hitting A3, very hard-hitting A2 with the decreased defense, obviously.
Yeah, free turn, decreased defense. Great ability again.
Yeah, I really like that guy. But there's a lot more to call out. Who do you want to call out?
Yeah, so Shatterbones could easily be in the mix. Like, hard-hitting A2. Now that we can control abilities and get him to do his A2 first, that's a game changer for this champion. And he hits hard. Like, triple hits. Each hit 50%, books up to 75%. To drop turn meter by 30%. This A2 on Shatterbones is nuts. Like, it just completely nullifies a wave if they're not already dead. So, yeah, he's actually overlooked a lot. Got a decent A1 as well. Decent A3 as well. Putting decreased speed and, again, turn meter manipulation. Like, people overlook him. He is solid.
Dude, he's a turn meter specialist with a lot of damage, more than meets the eye, to your point. So I agree with you 100%. Nice to have, like, you can even use him in arena, you know, especially being Force Affinity. Come in there and, I mean, that hail, you probably kill everybody on that A2. I got to give a shout out to Prundar, too. You said that, who is it, Grush likes reading? Prundar's in the library every day, bro. Every day. Look at those. 8 levels on the A1.
Well. I've heard that he likes cake.
Dude, look at that. 8 level. I know, right? 8 levels on the A1, 8 levels on the A2, and then you look at the A3 and you're like, okay, at least 1, and it's a cooldown. But then the passive has another 6.
Wow.
But a really cool champion. You know, has strength and continuous heal for 2 turns, an AOE provoke with increased defense on himself, and then has a decreased speed on the A1. You know, I don't think he's one of the best void epics in the game, but you could do a lot worse for kind of a defense support champion.
Okay, well, we don't spend forever on this faction. I'm going to quickly say, Occult Brawler, the highest potential output of poison in the game damage for a single champion against a single target. So you can't overlook his passive. And I'm just going to quickly shout as well, Dialcut with the new bomb boss that's coming out, which we was talking about earlier on your channel.
Yeah.
This guy hits freaking hard. Like, this guy is rivaling Skullcrown for damage from his AoE hits. And then if bombs are actually relevant, he could actually be like a bit of a game changer for people. So it's a bit of a watch this space, but surprisingly crazy amount of damage on his A2 and A3 before bombs even come into play. So
that's a good call out. And hey, while we're naming the entire faction, we should just retitle this video to Ogryn Tribe, spotlight here. Yeah. Claude Beastfeeder's pretty good as well. Very fast champion, has a shield, and also has increased speed and increased accuracy on a 3-turn cooldown. So pretty cool champion. And a passive heal.
Okay, hit us with Skull Crusher.
Okay, so I mean, let's keep it short and sweet here. Ally Protect, Counterattack. Counterattack, one of the 3 champions of the game who has it. 3-turn cooldown, great for a clan boss, great for anywhere that you need a counterattack champion. There.
Yeah, and he hits pretty hard. Yeah, good champ.
Yeah. Okay,
let's move on to the Barbs then. So, Barbarians, home of Woad Painted, my most hated epic in the game.
Yep, she's pretty bad. She's pretty bad. Are you first here? I lost track. That was so long on.
I think it's me. Yeah, I think I'm up.
Okay, all right.
So I'm going to call out for the first one, Amina.
Okay, I like that.
Kind of similar reasons to what we've talked out on a couple of these champions before, but 100% chance to throw a decreased defense out on our A2. Also, chance to steal turn meter as well on the A2. 3-turn cooldown, pretty cool. Turn meter manipulation on the A3 as well, and a solid chance of placing a stun. So if it's only on people that have had their turn meter completely dropped, but if that happens and she's booked, it's 100% stun, which is pretty rare for an epic. So it's situational, which I don't love how situational it is, but it's a decent kind of turn meter drop if nothing else happens anyway.
Yeah, and because of her passive, fills this champion's turn meter by 10% each time an enemy receives a stun debuff. I love putting her on the same team as like Syl. They're the same affinity as well, right?
Yeah,
so,
cool, yeah.
You pair them together. Like, she's really good putting her with a team with accessible champions like Archmage Helmet and Syl the Drakes who have stuns. And then you have kind of this super stun team with the turn meter increase of Armina.
Over and over, yeah.
Yeah, which allows her to get into her A2 more often and basically have decreased defense up all the time on the enemy team. So, a big fan of her as well.
The only thing I don't like about this champion is a base defense. Base
defense,
I know, 683. Right? It's like, whew, if we don't land those stuns, she's dead.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. She's kind of like to your point, she's kind of like a more of a control champion, not one who's going to withstand a long boss fight.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, I will go with Sky Touch Shaman. I think it's an easy choice here. Great for the arena with that A2. I mean, I have her built out in Immortal, not just because of the arena, but also because she won't be putting that annoying fear from her passive on herself. Sure. So immunity, come in, cleanse your team, revive on death, block debuffs for 2 turns. Has an AoE on the A1 as well with a heal. One of the better healers, if not the best healer maybe in the game in terms of just sheer heals that she can put out. Really, really good epic champion. I remember when she was first released, like everybody was like, wait a second here. When you read this passive, you're like, she's putting
it's like, what's actually going to go on?
Yeah. But turns out what goes on is a lot of healing and a very, very great great A2, for the arena.
Yeah, do you use her outside of the arena? Any kind of Doom Tower or?
I have just to like do video spotlights. I put her in what did I put her in? Frenzy maybe? I forgot. Okay. But you can have some fun with her. She can heal a ton, but she's more challenging because it's tough to control that passive, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
You're always worried that she's going to be CCing herself or killing herself essentially. So it's tougher to use her outside, but in the arena, she's certainly amazing. Have you used her anywhere outside arena?
She's one of these champions that I maxed out an age ago and just never done a guide on her or never kind of played around with her that much. So I see people use her in the arena, but I was just curious really if there's anywhere else.
She's for me, I still use her every day, but it's only in the arena right now. I'll use her. I'll put her into like my speed nuke team, my arbiter, like Trunda, whoever team, in place of whoever my like utility champion is. If I'm going against a hegemon or a tournament or whatever, because she just comes in there with the immunity gear on and cleanses my team. And if they already have debuffs on, or if they already have debuffs, cleanses them. If she goes like out of order before the enemy team goes, it's okay because I have block debuffs for 2 turns anyway. Yeah, and revive on death is handy as well. So yeah, cool champion.
Okay, cool. Right, I'm gonna go with Farakin the Fat for the third one. Brilliant addition to the game. I really like this champion.
Yeah.
So he's got the ally attack, which is a great ability. But he's actually one of the best ally attack champions in the game, including all the legendaries.
Yeah.
It brings you increased crit rate and crit damage. It's on a 4-turn cooldown. He puts those buffs on for 3 turns. So you've pretty much got it up for almost the entire fight. He's got poisons and burns as well. Decreased defense A1. Good base stats. A little bit low on health, but otherwise pretty solid. But even though he's a bit low on health, he's got a passive that kind of spreads some of his damage out to other people anyway. So kind of not that hard to keep alive. So yeah, mainly for me a clan boss champion, but also good against the Griffin. I like using ally attack against the Griffin to get the job done quickly. Solid champ, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And I love that you mentioned the 3 turns on the increased crit damage. It's just that's really big, increased crit rate as well. Where would you rank him like overall compared to even the legendary ally attacks? Would you put him like top 5? Obviously,
I think they all do things a little bit differently.
They do.
But I'd put him up there, probably definitely top 5.
Yeah. He's like around maybe 3 or 4 for me.
3 or 4, depending on what you're using him for, I think. For Clan Boss, I think he's probably top 2.
Yes.
But if he's talking about Arena, maybe Longbeard kind of sneaks in front of him because of the extra damage that Longbeard throws out. But
I agree. And then I think the Krilla Witch Arm having it on a 3-turn is pretty good, in other areas. But I would definitely put him, and then like there's Cardial and Necret in terms of like more niche-ish, I guess, or really good. But he's somewhere in that conversation. He's my favorite by far epic ally attack.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm gonna go with High Katoon, I guess.
Nice.
You know what? There's a lot of epic barbarians, but not a lot that I love, to be honest with you.
Sure.
So we don't have the Ogryn Tribe problem here. High Katoon, you get her for free early game, and unlike Yaga, you know, she's really good, right? She's worth putting your books in, even though if you get lucky, you put it on the A2. That's all you really need, right? Getting that Rally the Horde down to a 3-turn cooldown with turn meter boost, increased speed. And then it's nice that she has the decreased turn meter on her A3 as well. So she's kind of like a turn meter speed specialist. She even has decreased speed on her A1. So she's a great champion to invest in early game, which is what the daily log and reward champions ought to be, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I actually really like her, and I think she can play right through till kind of late Doom Tower as well. You know, the A1 decreased speed, don't overlook how good a decreased speed A1 is. It just makes things like Doom Tower bosses way easier to take down. 25% less speed, 30% less speed on their kind of turn meter bar movement is just so useful to get your hits away before they start ramping their damage up. So yeah, couldn't agree more. I think I wasn't sure if you was going to throw her into the top 5, and I'm pleased you did.
Would you take anybody over her?
Well, no, I don't think so. I'm struggling really for a 5th. You know, right? I'm kind of like steering probably towards a leaker for a 5th. Mainly because I mean she is one of the kind of the librarians for sure. I mean she loves to read this one. She's got all of the encyclopedias. She's going through them.
She's always into that card catalog. We're dating ourselves there, but you're right, man. Yeah, that's tough.
But she does hit hard. Like she
hits
a lot
of damage.
She's also got a kind of very Warlord-esque A3, albeit it's nowhere near as strong. It only goes on for 1 turn, but locking out enemy skills for a turn is actually pretty big. So she's okay, but I mean, the main thing is she hits hard. She can ignore defense, and she's got a decent A3. But you know, it's a struggle really.
It is.
Woe Painted's kind of got a lot of people at her table.
We're
gonna sit in the vault.
I think the only other one that I would even put in the conversation is Vala, you know, alongside her in terms of a champion worth even talking about here.
Yeah, she just needs a slightly higher chance to land that drop defense, and then she'd be better because she hits hard. But I think you know, when you've got rares coming in doing a better chance than she is quite comfortably, it's just not enough.
I agree. All right, okay, we're down to 3 more factions.
Yeah,
this has been a 2-hour collab almost. I love it.
We got the Sacred Order with the most epics you could ever get, and a lot of them absolute stinkers. So what's
a lot of good ones
here,
too, though, man. A lot of good ones. Now that I'm looking, it's gonna be tough. I'll go with Deke, man. I'll go with the easy choice, Deacon Armstrong. I mean, a newer champion, and he's just great. He has the leech on the A1. He has the AoE decreased defense, and then he has time compression, which is just an insane ability to have in his kit already because you're filling turn meter, decreasing turn meter, granting an extra turn, which is so important. We talked about it with Seeker on my channel. And then that allows him, you know, granting that extra turn. The beauty of his kit is that it allows him to get into the A2 earlier and keep decreased defense on the enemy team pretty much all the time.
Yeah, it's the equivalent of having everything on an extra turn less cooldown. That extra turn ability, it's so big.
I don't think people get that like at first with a lot of these champions. Like that grant an extra turn, you put it beautifully. Like picture the sweeping retribution on a 2-turn because of that, you know?
Yeah, exactly
and
right.
Same thing with time compression. So very, very solid champion.
So people are pretty salty because on my free to play, I actually pulled Deacon really early, and he's so big. Like he's hard carrying my account. Carrying.
I can imagine. Like I pulled him late, obviously, on my main account. I don't have him on my free to play, but I can imagine how much of a game changer this dude is if you pull him early. Has a great speed aura as well. All battles 19%. So
good base stats. He plays anywhere. That's the thing about him. He can play literally anywhere in the game, and he's huge. Absolutely.
If you had to choose, I'm curious. If you had to choose to start out an account with Deacon Armstrong or another champion who I'm sure we'll talk about in like 10 minutes is Stag Knight, who would you choose?
I think I'd choose Deacon.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. We'll get to Stag Knight in a bit. I think I choose Deacon because I just feel like that extra turn, he brings something to every single bit of content in the game. I feel like Stag Knight just drops the clan boss, albeit he's got decreased attack. Maybe
he's got decreased speed, decreased attack, and decreased defense, man. It's tough. Those are 2 of the best epics in the game. But anyway, you go. I'm sidetracking. Here we go.
Okay, so I'm going to kick in with Mordecai, one of the newer epics of this faction. But I love this epic. Really good. Really good. So he's also got he's got this kind of turn meter manipulation on the A2, which is kind of cool. But it's all about the A3. So throwing out HP burn for 2 turns, all enemies if you book him out. There's so much content now where HP burn becomes huge for damage. And it's the one thing they haven't really nerfed in terms of like damage potential. So, they've got a nerf for poisons, they've got a nerf for the enemy max HP stuff, but HP burn kind of becomes king when you get to level 21 to 25 or hard level Doom Tower stuff. And this guy brings a lot of it.
Yeah, absolutely. He's amazing. We talked about it a little bit earlier too, because you mentioned that Achak, the Wendurin, is one of your favorite champions. But him, along with Achak, are just incredible team for Spider. And I agree. He's one of those champions that, to our point earlier, you saw him on paper before he was released, and you're like, okay, looks pretty good. And then you just try him, and you're like, wow, this guy is.
I remember putting a video. I can't remember which fusion he was a part of. It might have been Brogni actually. Who's crazy as a legendary.
Yeah.
But I remember saying, like, if you can't get the legendary, this is the
Gold
guy.
Mordecai. Yeah.
This is the one.
Yeah, absolutely. Good choice there. Man, there's gonna be a lot of honorable mentions here, or a few at least. Godseeker Neri, I think, is a no-brainer. She's one of the most unique, and I would say she's tied for like best reviver, maybe a 3-way tie, like between Cardinal and her and Ursula. Because she has a great revival, a unique revival, revives a dead ally with 50% HP, fills her turn meter by 50%, and resets all of their cooldown skills.
Yeah, so cool. Yeah.
Very cool. And then she has another kind of built-in revive on death ability. If an ally is about to get killed by a failed hit, preempts that hit, plays a revive on death buff on them for 1 turn before the damage is taken. So you get like 2 chances here at picking up a dead ally, which is very unique, very cool. And I love the reset cooldown skills on the Rise of Glory ability. She's just a really, she's a top tier support champion in my opinion.
Yeah, she's got that buff extender as well, which makes her pretty unique. There's maybe only like 4 or 5 worthwhile buff extenders in the game. And she's up there as probably one of the best, maybe behind Krisk. But she also got this cool shield, right? I really love the shield.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Aesthetically, she is pretty
cool.
She's a really cool champion, yeah. So, Godseeker Neri.
Yeah, good pick. Okay, so let's go in with my 4th one. So, I'm going to go with one of the old school champs here.
Okay.
I'm pulling out Phoenix.
I'm so glad you said him, because I don't think I was going to, but I love him.
I love this epic. It just punches damage out like crazy. Massively hard hitting A1. So if you're struggling with Ice Golem, he comes in with that block revive, and he just annihilates those side adds.
Yep.
A2 hits hard as well. Puts out block buffs, which is a great skill to have. Even more so nowadays than when he was probably originally built, to be honest. I just think he's a great champion. He's also got 2 strong debuffs. People overlook this A3. If you're up against the boss, decreased defense and decreased speed are 2 solid single target debuffs to land. So yeah, I just think he's good. He's a little bit low on HP and defense, but he hits like a cannon. As long as you can keep him alive and punch some damage out of him, then yeah, he's really solid.
Yeah, the reason I like him so much is, first of all, the second hardest hitting A1 in the game, behind Candrafon, which is pretty amazing for an epic champion. The second thing about it, in terms of multipliers, the second thing about him that I love is that on ally attack teams, like, obviously because of that A1 synergy and ally attack being like meta against a lot of the Doom Tower bosses, great champion, and he can act as your decreased defense option, on your team. Like, he can basically fill that role, albeit on a 4-turn cooldown. But I've used him in that manner before, because I didn't want to clog up one whole spot of my team on just decreased defense. So I put him in there with an ally attack. I'm getting a ton of damage, getting decreased defense, getting decreased speed as well. So I think he's a very versatile champion in that regard.
Okay, who's your final pick?
My final pick, man. So it's between, I'll give a couple quick shout outs. I think that Inquisitor Shamil is very cool. I think that Cardinal is unique and cool. But I'm gonna give it to Sanguinia. Sanguinia is a pretty cool champion. She looks pretty cool. I like the red robe look she's got going on here. I like her because she has the A2 block debuff, which we talked about a lot, how much we value that, buff, and the continuous heal, so a solid heal as well. And on the A3, she has a cleanse, with a 100% chance of transferring all debuffs from her to the target, and then attacks one enemy with the cleanse at the end. So she's removing all debuffs from everybody, basically. She's transferring her debuffs, and then she has the continuous heal and the block debuffs on the A2. I think she's a solid support champion, and her base stats are solid, right? A lot of HP, decent amount of defense, and pretty fast as well. So I think that you can do a lot worse in terms of a support champion.
Yeah, no, nice, actually. And I guess for Agref, which is one of the hardest Doom Tower bosses, this A3 is probably... I've not used it, to be honest, but I feel like it should just be nuts to support your team on that.
Yeah, I think I have a couple clanmates who use her against Frostbiter as well. So very, very cool champion. I like her.
Okay, so just in terms of honourable mentions, you've said a couple. I will just... I would have picked Inquisitor Shamal.
As your fifth?
Yeah, as my fifth. But like you said, Cardial could be strong too. I will just say, like, he is a nuke against waves in Doom Tower. And people struggle with Doom Tower a lot, especially when you get to the higher levels. His A2 starts to ignore defense and will absolutely just kind of blow people up. So just worth shouting him out. But also got a really interesting passive as well, that he can't let your team land any sort of fear or true fear against you. So worth calling him out.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Anybody else here you love? Or
I feel like this is probably like one of the sets of most pointless champions in the game. Like,
I think that
one after the other.
I think that I think that Hope is all right. She has a 3-turn.
Talia actually is someone who's strong.
Yeah, I mean, Hope has a 3-turn, 75% chance of removing all buffs, on an AoE, which is not bad. She's pretty fast too with a lot of HP, so I think she's all right. Talia, you're right. She hits really hard, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And then who else? I think
actually is not terrible either.
You're right. A good, really good shield option because he has it on a 2-turn cooldown. There's only a few champions in the game who have that. There's a couple, solid ones.
And I'm sure chat will actually get upset that we've not said Light Swan, who is also
pretty solid. Right. The next thing you know, we're gonna name every single champion here.
But I feel like there's a lot of bad ones. Like
Romero is
Adriel, Canoness.
I
mean, I really dislike Juliana and Romero, but that's just like
I'll tell you what, man. I'll tell you what. I don't like Juliana either. I know a lot of people do, and I don't really get the love. But no offense, people. Agree to disagree.
Yeah, exactly.
But Romero, I leaned on Sacred Order is one of my first completed faction wars, and actually built Romero just for it because he has a shield, and continuous heal, which you could do a little bit of worse there, and a continuous heal on the A1 as well. So easy to keep alive. I don't know. He's an all right champion. Average.
I can see it. It just feels like his kit is based on an okay, like a strong rare rather than
he's been power crept. He's been power crept. All right.
Okay, all right, onto the High Elves. 2 factions to go. There's not many epics in the High Elves.
Gosh, man.
Wow.
I didn't realize there was so few.
Pretty slim, yeah.
God. All right.
Well, we got to pick 5. Who's your first one?
Is it you first or me first?
I think it's yours, isn't it? I think it's yours.
I don't know. I guess let's go down. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to pick one of the super obvious ones. I'm going to go Burgess. He is a really solid champion, so difficult to kill. One of the better support champions now after his buff, right? He got a major buff. He was trash. But now, I mean, look at his A2 and the Aegis ability. He has continuous heal, increased speed, reflect damage on an ally for 3 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. And then has ally protect on all allies, increased defense on himself. And that passive, man, I mean, he's so, like I said, he's so tricky to kill.
Yeah,
he can solo Scarab King and stuff like that. He has a shield on himself. Every time he loses 10% of his HP, continuous heals. He's a really, really good support champion. Really, really, I don't know. I like him. I like his aesthetics as well.
Start. I would have had him in my 5 for sure. I mean, I'm going to pull out one of the OGs, but I still love this champion, Tyrell. Tyrell was like top of my my tier list for epics for a long, long time, and he's still up there, kind of like top 5. AoE drop defense on the A2, also a chance to throw sleeps out if they've got a decreased attack on. A decreased attack A1, which is like solid for clan boss. And then people kind of overlook how strong this A3 is, but turn meter drop, stun for 2 turns if they fully deplete turn meter. Like I think there's only a handful of champions that do that in the game. Like stun's the best debuff in the game. To put it out for 2 turns is nuts. Defense in all battles aura, solid base stats. Really like him. He's still one of my kind of go-to champions if I go and try and help someone else out in the game.
I 100% agree. Some people claim that he's been power crept, and I'm with you, man.
Actually, just think about 4-turn cooldown rather than the 3s now.
That's the thing. That's the thing. That's what sucks is all these new, duck the peers to we named like half of them in this video, but there's a lot of decreased defense on 3-turn cooldowns now. However, the rest of his kit, to your point, man, like the decreased attack on the A1 with the preemptive strike. I mean, Andy can put out a lot of damage too. Andy has a great aura. I feel like, sure, a little bit of power creep does not mean he's still not one of the better epics in the game. So I agree.
For sure. Okay, who's next?
I'm just waiting for you to do the obvious Royal Guard. I keep picking the more fun champions. I'm going to go Thanasil, man. Thanasil is again an underrated champion in the game because he's fast. First of all, 105 speed. He's decent base stats, and then he has increased defense with a heal on a 3-turn cooldown. Oak Skinned is a really good ability. Has an AOE attack, doesn't hit very hard at all on the A3. But if you're looking for an increased defense with a solid heal who's pretty fast, I think you could look at Thanasil, especially Force Affinity. There's not a lot there. I guess the problem is he is Force Affinity, so if you have Mausoleum Mage, he's clearly better. But other than that, like he's a good champion.
He's kind of been power crept a little bit in terms. I feel like he kind of needs one more thing in his kit, really.
Right? Don't you don't you wish he had?
Just either another debuff on the A1, or maybe the A3 should just be removes enemy buffs instead of decreases by 1 turn. If you think about how solid some of the other epics are out there now, because his A2, like you say, is really good. A1's okay, but the A3 for me, compared to other epics that we get out there, is just. It feels like it's a little bit weak on a 6-turn to 5-turn cooldown.
It's awful. Like you should almost shut it down. Like almost. You shouldn't shut it down because it's still an AOE. But I don't know, man. I'm with you. Like a decreased attack. Heck, even I don't know. Something needs to be done about that A3. Yeah, you're right.
Else to bring him back up to speed with the game.
Would you choose somebody over him in your top 5? There's only like 8 champions.
No, he would have been in my top 5.
Yeah. Okay, so who do you want here?
Well, I'm going to go Royal Guard.
Okay, all right.
King of the Nukes. I mean, he's a fun champion. There's not many champions that can hit as hard as he can in the whole game. On his A2, he's got an ability that's enemy max HP. He's kind of come down, in terms of people's kind of requirement to get him now because of the nerfs they've made to enemy max HP for stages 21 to 25. For dungeons, but he's an absolute dungeon legend. He can go through and help you smash your way through Ice Golem, especially Spider, Dragon, no problem. He was in some of my fastest Dragon teams before they extended to 21 to 25, and Spider. And then I see now, actually, the fastest teams in the game for Fire Knight.
Yeah.
I've got Royal Guard popping up. So, he's still found a place. And he's also got an insanely good A3, which no one talks about.
Exactly.
4 hits, decreased speed, chances to drop turn meter. Really good A3 as well.
His A3 is really, I agree. His A3 is incredible. That's what makes him so amazing for Fire Knight as well, and the aura, right? He's better than legendaries attack in dungeons.
Yes,
35%. So I agree. He was my most used champion in 2020. Remember they had the whole synopsis. Who was yours?
I can't even remember. I'm not sure. I've literally got no idea.
Put you on the spot. Yeah.
Got no idea.
All right. Well, Royal Guard was mine. It's safe to say it probably will not be it in. It might be like Seer or something in 2021 if you can even rely on those. Yeah. That's true. My girl. I guess I have last. Yeah, sure. I think the obvious choice here. I could be wrong. I think it's Battle Sage. Battle Sage has the similar to Skytouch Shaman type role in the arena, right? With that A2 has the increased attack, then removes all debuffs on all allies, and the buff cannot be removed. I mean, that's all you really need to talk about in her kit. She's great I guess her A3 is noteworthy too. Revive on death on any ally for 3 turns. Not bad, but again, and an AoE on the A1. I guess she's just a solid champion, but especially in a solid aura, speed in all battles, 90%, but especially that nature's touch for, for those Torments, the Hegemons, and whatever inside the arena.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking maybe you'd pick Jingle Hunter, but
Okay.
both of them kind of, I'd say both solid, but not crazy. In their own place, they're good. Depends on who else you've got in your roster, I guess. Jingle Hunter kind of brings that 100% chance to freeze the enemy if he kills someone. So if you get him fast and he goes first in the arena, can kind of just lock out a whole team. But pretty situational, and again, really power creep has kind of pushed him out of the game, really.
I feel like you could make a case for Jingle Hunter, like for progression players a little bit more, because he can really carry an arena team. Where I say end game viability, I would say Battle Sage is probably the way to go, but can't really go wrong either way.
Okay, we've got one faction to do.
Yeah, man. We're almost there. You're up first. Yeah.
So let's do it. I'm going to kick in with the first one. Well, we spoke about him a bit already today. Let's talk about Stag Knight. So yeah, one of the best epics in the game. When he first came out, I was kind of like, I'm not sure about this guy. I'm not sure about whether he's got kind of enough going on. I don't know how I saw him that way, because he's ridiculous. I know, right? Like, yeah. He's so good. What was I reading? When I read his kit, I must have been like using the proper thick glasses or something.
And sometimes that happens, though. It happens to everybody. Like, sometimes you just have these champions that are clearly beasts, especially when their kits are simple, right? And we tend to kind of like undervalue them. But yeah, man, Stag Knight is amazing.
I mean, 95% chance to put two of the best debuffs out there on a whole enemy team. Obviously, you put the mastery on, which gives him another 5%, and then he's kind of going full whack on decreased defense, decreased attack, 3-turn cooldown, nuts. And then all he's doing other than that is his A1, which has got a chance to put decreased speed on. So, double hitter makes him viable for Fire Knight. Decreased speed is viable for most bosses as a really strong debuff to get out there. Crazy base speed, and he's got a kind of interesting, albeit I don't think it's that important as a passive, but I think it's interesting in places that can kind of come on there and increase your team's accuracy. Bit situational, but I mean, the other two abilities on their own kind of carry this guy.
Yeah, he was the first champion in the game who had increased attack added to his kit, so it's pretty cool to see that he holds that title. And to your point too, I love that I love how fast he is, man. Yeah. Like 107 speed with 21k HP almost,
yeah, definitely. He's so easy to keep alive.
Yeah, he's easy to keep alive, and I know even for progression, a lot of players put him in a shield set, just to help him out a little bit if they need it, because he has that solid HP to kind of scale from. So he's definitely a really good champion, one of the best in the game.
Yep.
All right,
let's do it. Number 2.
All right, number 2, man. Let's see. Who do I want to go with here? There's some obvious ones. I guess I'll go with an obvious. I will go with Ursula the Mourner. Ursula, dude, the Reviver beast. Requiem is such an insane ability. It's one of the best revivals in the game. Forget about epics. Like, it stands alongside legendary, the best legendary revivers. All dead allies, 75% HP. Turn meters by 50. Increased defense, strengthen on all allies for 3 turns, man. That's on a 5-turn cooldown. Very, very good. And she's unique because she has the decrease attack and the increase attack with an AoE on a 3-turn cooldown as well. I mean, a lot of books on her. That's the downside on the A1 and the A2. But man, she's worth it. She's worth booking out because she's one of the better, not just revivers, but just all around really, really solid epic champion. Almost a legendary.
I think one of the things that when you're looking for your revive champions, someone who fills turn meter by this much when she's picking up the whole team, that's a huge turn meter fill. 50%, getting them back in the game with a lot of their health as well. Like, they're the numbers that I look for. The fact that she's bringing a ton of other cool kind of buffs at the same time is awesome, but that 50% turn meter with 3/4 of your health, it's basically like, well, we're starting again and we're back in the fight straight away. Whereas some revivers, they pick everyone up, but you're at 0 turn meter, so it's almost like, well, they're coming again. You're going to be dead again in a minute.
Yeah, I mean, and then you have increased defense strengthen for 3 turns, not just on the revived, but everybody on the team. And to your point, I mean, you have turn meter 50%, you have 75% HP, you have two of the strongest defensive buffs on them. You're right, man. It's like setting up all over again, and then you bring the increased attack as well, but you bring the decreased attack on an AoE. Yeah, she's really, really solid. A lot of utility, just one of the better revivers. So yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to jump in with perhaps a bit of a left field one, but one of my favorite epics in this faction is Oathbound.
Oh, that is a little left field for me. I like it.
I really like this champion. I mean, he locks people out. So, freeze A1 is okay. A2 AoE drop attack, which is a nice ability, but also a good kind of turn meter chunk as well. And then you've got this kind of block active steals A3, which is a great debuff to throw out there. So it's kind of like the Warlord locking out people's abilities type move. But when you got your decrease attack out there first, which is his A2, it's 100% chance to place it.
Yeah.
So it's a full hit at random.
Yeah.
This guy carries Faction Wars. Like you can play him as a 50 actually, but he hard carries Faction Wars. Everything's based on defense as well, so he can hit pretty hard whilst keeping him alive.
Yeah.
He's really solid. Really solid.
Cool. That's cool. I haven't really heard anybody talk about Oathbound much, so you learned something new here. I hadn't really looked at his kit in a while. You know what someone told me too? This is not my guy, but while we're talking about kind of underrated Bannerlords, is Seneschal. I had somebody in my comments. We all see it from time to time, right? Someone just like, I swear you have to max out Seneschal. He's amazing. And I looked at him like, dude, this guy sucks. I look at him and I'm like, wait a second. He has a leech. He has perfect veil. He has continuous heal on an ally on a 2-turn cooldown. And then his A3, he has a counterattack on himself with a provoke debuff on all enemies, which synergizes well back to his A1, placing leeches everywhere. And he's very fast. And I'm like, oh, he's pretty cool too. Like, he's not the best. He's not my pick, but just looking for excuses to talk about more champions, man. Okay, so my real pick is Archmage Helmet, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, this dude is a legendary, man. He really is. Next to Dark Kale, he's my favorite Doom Tower, normal champion. Sure. He has speed in all battles, 17%. He has increased speed, crit rate, crit damage, all on a 3-turn cooldown. I mean, Psychic Guidance is an insane A3 ability. Immune to turn meter decreasing effects is a very cool passive to have in his kit. He has turn meter fill on the A1, 20% if critical. And then his time slip. One thing I wasn't ready about this champion, man, is he actually puts out decent damage as well. Like, he's kind of a backup nuker option, So he's doing a little bit of everything. He has a really good 75% stun on a 3-turn cooldown. I mean, this guy is insane. As I said, I'm not sure if I said it, but very fast as well. So
yeah, no, all good. And he also, because he brings an increased speed buff without a turn meter fill, if you bring someone with a buff extension, he actually comes into Klabos to enable the 2-for-1 speed comps. A bit like what Lydia does as a legendary. There's not many champions in the game that do it. He falls into that bracket, and because he's bringing crit rate and crit damage at the same time, he can actually go into really hard-hitting 2-for-1 kind of clan boss teams. So, yeah, cool champion. Used mainly, I guess, in kind of general wave content, but he's pretty versatile. Yeah, well worth grinding out the Doom Tower for.
Absolutely. You can use him in any wave content. You can use him just as kind of a buffer for increased speed and crit damage, along with like extra utility. And you can use him in the arena as well, He's kind of like a, if you have a debuffer, if you have a speed lead and you have a nuker, he's a good kind of flex spot, right? With the increased speed, catch up your nuker to the rest of the champions if you want to. Maybe you're capping off your crit rate because you're lazy and you go with like an 85% crit rate. Get extra damage off the crit damage. So I think he's a very versatile. And again, that passive, it's nice to have nobody messing around with your turn meters. So
yeah, for sure.
All right. Who you have next here?
Final one then.
Final one, yeah.
I'm going to call out Wardcaster here.
Okay.
Now, the reason why I don't particularly love this champion, I'm going to be honest, but because he enables unkillable teams, and because unkillable teams are so strong in Clan Boss to try and get yourself one of these comps running, I just feel like I need to call him out. Basically, it's all about his A3, so block damage for 1 turn. Once that goes on, the Clan Boss hits you for 0, or any kind of damage that's coming into you hits for 0, and you can just kind of move on with your day. He does have an AoE block buffs on his A2, and he hits pretty hard. Not crazy hard, but he hits pretty hard. And AoE block buffs is actually useful in general content. But I'd say if I didn't have the means to make an unkillable team, so if I didn't have a man-eater or a tower to go alongside him, he wouldn't be top of my list to max. But if I do, and I can build an unkillable team, then absolutely I would do it, because it makes Clan Boss so much easier. And it makes you get those kind of top rewards over and over again. Way easier to do. He's also pretty fast, easy to keep alive. But that's the main reason why I called him out.
Yeah, I built him specifically for Bannerlord's Faction Wars, like back, a while ago, But he was a good help there as well, just for that, that block damage it comes in handy on a 4-turn, and block buffs too. So yeah, I agree with that pick. I will call out
Anyone
though.
You would have seen instead?
Yeah. Like I don't get why this guy doesn't get a little bit more love, and that is Gizcard the Sigiled. Or Jizcard, or I don't know. Yeah. I don't want to get you demonetized. I don't know, bro. But he has like you tell me, man. Am I crazy that he should be way better, way more highly ranked than people do? He has a decreased attack on the A1, right? A 75% chance at landing it. On the A2, he has an AoE 75% chance provoke with a shield on himself. Damage based on defense. On the A3, on a 3-turn cooldown, we have big version of increased defense and increased attack on all allies. And then his passive is fills his turn meter by 15% whenever he's attacked by anybody under provoke, which he lands, and increase attack. Yeah. He's like a solid champion, no?
He is, yeah. You know, yeah. I do overlook him. I think he came out and was broken.
Yes,
like, totally
that's what happened.
Good.
That's what they nerfed him before he was released, and everybody got cool, like got lukewarm on him. Yeah. But he's still so good. Like he's still really good.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, it's fair. It's fair call actually. I've not really played with him since he was nerfed, to be honest. But still a solid kit. You're right. Yeah, absolutely right.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much all I have though. For the, I mean, Knight Errant is cool just for Death Warrant ability, but that's not like I wouldn't max him out just for that. But he's fun to play with.
Yeah, and I mean Chancellor Yasmin is okay, but her AI is a bit weird. Well,
yeah,
her situational, I think.
It's weird because her AI leads into the lulling chant, which if there's no buffs on enemies, it doesn't do anything, right? Yeah. So that's kind of weird. But even if you shut that down, like if you go with the A2, like odds are you're not going to be able to heal anybody on the first turn either. So you're going to be opening up every like fight with basically a very mediocre A1. You know, it's kind of weird. But I guess once for longer battles, once she gets going, she could be pretty solid.
Yeah, I feel like the AI doesn't understand how to use her, and she's not really the sort of person that you can just turn abilities on or off and really make use of her, because it's almost like I need you to do this when this happens.
Yes.
There's no AI for that, so so she kind of sits in the vault really, which is a shame.
Yeah, you need those if then statements and abilities to add in the customizer. Exactly, man. Wow, we made it, bro. We made it.
Okay, man. Look, I mean, that was like over an hour worth of talking, but I feel like these videos are cool. It gives people a good indication of who they should build out. And hopefully you've appreciated the timestamps if you wanted to come and just find your faction. Ash, thank you so much for coming on, man.
Hades, always a pleasure, my man. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Guys, hope you enjoyed the video. I've been Hell Hades. I will see you later.